Hey, this is Keith with KLL Electric Service. Just wanted to let you know this is all the materials that you need for a 200 amp service. Hey, how you doing? But anyway, 200 amp service with a main disconnect. I believe 2023 NEC is going to start implementing disconnects. Going to be required for all new services. But here where I'm at currently in the Midwest, we're on the 2018 IRC, which makes it the 2017 NEC. So therefore you don't need a disconnect if you have a meter, as long as you're going, within point of entry, you're going right into a panel. But anyway, here's my current situation here. Got an existing 100 amp meter can and going into looks like a 1-inch LV and going into the panel, which is about roughly 20 feet away. Now this situation, I'm not going to be able to do a total rewire. I'm going to upgrade the panel to 200 amps, but in doing so, I'm gonna have to upgrade the service line to 200 amps so we can get a whole 200 amp service utilization, especially for their solar installation. As you can see, we got the meters marked with solar. Here's the solar. And DC disconnect. So the inverter disconnect. Here's the AC disconnect for the solar, right? And that's being fed off a line side tap, being penetrated from here. But that's another part of the electrical system that we're talking about and how that's being utilized maybe in a future video. But meanwhile, my goal here as a master electrician, to make sure that this guy is going to be upgraded to 200 amps. And with that, we need to upgrade the wiring, which is here, 4 volt. This is for my riser. This is also rated to be buried underground. Okay, check your burial depths. Article 300.5 talks about burial depths. When it comes to driveways and yards and things like that. You don't have a burial depth when you're doing a ground wire or a GEC, ground and electrode conductor. You don't need a burial depth for that. But other than that, you do need one for any other, especially service wiring or wire into a garage, or whether you're doing a line side tap for solar, any type of wiring that's going to be energized needs to be installed in accordance with 300.5. You can look at any edition of the NEC. There's a table there, and you should be able to find that all the way from 2005, probably before that when I started looking at it, all the way to the current edition. But other than that, here's our service entrance cable, right? And as you can see, this is going to be 4-wire. Okay, I'll explain that to you now. Okay. And then here are all the components that we're going to be using to install our 200 amp service with 200 amp panel. So as you can see, we got a Eaton 200 amp meter socket. Okay. We got a disconnect, which is rated for 200 amps. Can also do another tap off of there. Maybe if you wanted to bring 60 amps to the exterior of the house. This is an exterior rated disconnect. You look at your NEMA, as you can see, type 3R outdoor. Make sure you look at your ratings and enclosures, right? And we have our this is a main breaker. Okay, so we could have just used the a main lug panel, 200 amps, but supply didn't have it still. Either way, we got what we needed. 200 amp main breaker. We're just not going to bond the neutral at here, right? Remember our point of service, that's where we need to bond the neutral, so we're going to be bonding it here at the 200 amp disconnect, because that's our new point of service. Again, this is all for life safety. In this case, fire starts or anything, the fireman comes, they need to get the house. Water and electricity doesn't mix. They're going to be able to shut off the power from the outside to be able to make entry and to go in and to make all the corrections. Okay, here we have some of the breakers that's going to be installed. These are 20 amp breakers, 15 amp breakers. You can see we got 2-pole 40 and a 2-pole 60. That's going to be to this beautiful outdoor area. Right, great yard. I'm not going to expose everything, but much more space. But anyway, so those are the components that we're going to be installing part of our service. Got a 2-inch mill bank, right? Don't forget your 2-inch hub. That's going to be coming out our riser in our situation, coming out the meter can. Okay, got a 2-inch LB. So my installation, of course, we're not going through Eve or anything, so I can go ahead and use all rigid PVC, conduit, because we're not going through Eve, and that saves everything. A lot of bonding and bushings and grounding bushings and things like that. But anyway, 2-inch PVC weatherhead. Okay, got a 90, just in case. Got a 2-inch PVC for my riser. I got another stick in case I need to extend it, because again, gonna look at Article 230 for services. I believe Article 230.21 or 24, something like that. We talk about clearances. Please, I should know this, but I know it's Article 230.24, I believe, clearances. But anyway, that's what we gonna have here. See an existing meter location. Gotta make sure that clearance is met. As you can see, we got solar panels that's going to be on that roof there. So all of this is pertaining to the solar installation, but this is also 200 amp upgrade for regular installation without the solar. That's what I meant. Regular 200 amp service. Okay. But anyway, we got our weatherhead. Okay. We got the PVC connectors, or they call it male adapters, or I just call them PVC 2-inch connectors. Right, they're going to be threaded. You have to buy the 2-inch lock rings separate, but make sure you get that. And since we got PVC plastic, there's no need to buy bushings, right, to go on top of that. You don't put plastic on top of plastic. But either way, if you got metal, right, pulling those conductors through there. Right, we got those sharp edges there, and we don't want the wire, scraping that up or grounding it out, shortening it. So we put this bushing over there, before we pull the wire. Then F4 has a lip, plastic lip, and it gives you a little bit of protection. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not a video editor, but I did try to go to school for that. But anyway, I'm not editing anything. So just so you know, this what you see is what you get. So anyway, 2 LBs, right? This LB, I imagine I'm going to make a new penetration here, right? Of course not over this, but under, this deal right here. Make a nice penetration there. And we're going to probably keep our meter at the same kind of location, same width, because remember, once we make it installation, we have to stay 3 feet away from a window, and that's not going to work because we are about, I think it was like 24 inches, or it was less than 3 feet from the window's edge to the riser. Okay, so we have to stay away from there. So I'll figure if I put it right here, right, I'm gonna have to reinstall a disconnect anyway. So I'll put my meter here, right, probably have my disconnect right here next to it. Okay, so meter with the disconnect. Okay, on my meter, I'm going to have my riser. It's going to connect to the utility, making sure we meet our clearances, right? Remember, Article 110 talks about all the general requirements, heights, things like that. In this case, I'm with the local utility company, Evergy. You can always go to your local utility company's website to get the specifications on whether they want to. So it's a good idea before you start your 200 amp service to plan an installation with the local utility planner. All you have to do is just call the number, to your local utility, get with the planner, say, hey, I'm doing this new electrical installation here, and just want to make sure we're on the same page. Come on out and tell me what you want so we can make sure your job is safe. And once that happens, okay, I know I'm not showing my face or anything, but once that happens, we're going to go ahead and wait kind of for the planner. But meanwhile, here's the materials that you need. Okay, and this is just for my situation. You may not always need LBs, right? You may not always need 2-inch 90s, right? Or you may not also need, here's my 2-inch straps, for my riser. Okay, also my 1-inch strapping for my, see that how that works. I asked the guy for 2-hole straps. I like just using 2-hole straps. Okay, where I'm at, you're gonna need a smoke detector by the panel. Okay, so we got a smoke alarm. Okay, so this is basically your materials needed, okay, for a 200 amp service. So again, don't bond it here in my situation, right? Because this is now the service. This is the sub panel. No bonding at the sub panel. So we need to bring a 4-wire connection from your load side of the 200 amp disconnect, which is your new point of service, over to the line side, basically the main side of this 200 amp panel. But don't bond the neutral. So take the bond, screw out, throw it away, whatever. Okay, to that we're gonna have 4-wire. Some jurisdictions talk about 10 feet. You need to have a disconnect, once you come inside a meter can, and then you come, make a penetration into a house. You need to go with a disconnect if you exceed 10 feet. Some jurisdictions let you wrap around the house 20,000 times on the exterior. As soon as you make a point of penetration, as long as the panel's right there, you can go ahead and not have a disconnect. So meter can straight into the panel. Again, this is all about life safety. So hope I haven't said too much, or I hope you gave you informative information, and maybe I'll show you all the materials that I need as far as the tools, right, that I use. But got any questions, just hit me up, and feel free to make a comment. This is Keith with KLL Electric Service. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.